has the guest at the top of the chart. The head of the company is at the bottom. So let me ask you, what are you going to do next time? My sense, listening to all of you, you're all a little bit wringing your hands, frustrated with those people out there. And I'm as frustrated as they come. But asking the question, what are we, if I can include myself in the media, what are we going to do next time to try to help people understand the risks of this or that with respect to diseases? And I think I have another follow-up. Has anybody studied how many people know somebody who's been killed by a traditional virus, gotten polio, died of influenza? Because I think it's surprisingly high. But lead on.
I won't speak for your first question, which is how the media can handle this, but I think in terms of how sort of clinicians can handle it is to try and fight misinformation by providing the information that hopefully lessens that concern, and do it in a very passionate and provocative and compelling way, and compassionate way. So in answer to your question, do I see children die of vaccine-preventable diseases? I see it every year. I mean, there's not a year that goes by at Children's Hospital Philadelphia where we don't see a child die of influenza, pneumococcus, the occasional flu, pneumococcus, and pertussis. Those three are severe killers. We just had a child who just 6 months ago the parents saw us as an outpatient at 2 months, 4 months, and 6 months of age. Claimed they didn't want to get any vaccines because they had recently converted to Muslim, even though they had vaccinated their other children. The child got pneumococcal meningitis at 1 year of age, and so severely that the brain herniated down the brainstem, caused the child to stop breathing. We saved his life, but he will be vegetative for the years that he lived, which will probably just be another 5 or 6 years. We participated in that in some level. I mean, by sort of accepting, in this case, a religious exemption, whatever the reason is, we accepted that out of sort of respect for the parent and stood back. And I just think we have to have that image in our mind whenever we talk to children. The image of this child who could have been a 70 or 80-year life that would have been happy and fulfilling, but instead was snuffed out by the ignorance of that parent. And at some level, by our inability to sort of step forward and really passionately try and not let that happen. I think, these days doctors are trained to be to make sure the parent and the patient is very much part of the decision-making process, which means at some level you're ceding your expertise. I mean, you're letting you want to make that decision in concert, which means at some level you have to be willing to watch someone make a bad decision that can hurt their child. And I think we just have to be willing to be more prescriptive. Last story, and I'll stop. The reason I had surgery on my right eye for a corneal defect was congenital, and I went to the doctor, Shea Eye Hospital at the University of Pennsylvania, and he said, well, here's your medical options and here's your surgical options. What would you like? What are you, a waiter? Yeah. You think I should do? I mean, you're a doctor. So tell me what to do. And I think gets lost. And people think they go as much as anybody who's giving them advice. And I think it's part of the problem. It's a level. It's a problem.
So what I'm driving at is imagine the viewer in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in middle management. That's what.
All we can do is try to, people don't like broccoli, they like dessert. I can try to make our stories as much appearing as dessert as I can while stuffing broccoli in the corner. You have to speak to people in a way they can hear. You can't say close personal contact with bodily fluids. You have to say vomit, diarrhea, blood. And it's an education process with the folks I work for. I've now got them to understand what studies are like, and we also did for a long time, we did Here's Sally stories, which I object to, which is here's Sally. Sally suffers from fill in the blank. But there's new hope for Sally because there's the blank. Now back to Sally. Oh, I'll take this new drug procedure with her and I'll be better. Because what everybody thought the way to get to people with information was, well, you have to give it a character. So find a Sally for every single bloody health piece. There was meet Sally, and I'm like, oh, I'd rather not. So we have to be better at telling the story in a compelling way and getting sleep, eat, exercise in there in a way that they can hear. And so that's on us.
When it comes to measles and the anti-vaccine movement and whooping cough, I mean, I think we have actually this year seen some progress. You know, all of us have known for a long time that there's this conspiracy to claim that there's a conspiracy. We're not a conspiracy. The conspiracy actually is perpetuating all these lies and misinformation and you know, completely discredited fraudulent claims between vaccines.
We just haven't invited you to the meetings.
It's being sponsored by all the money that's being made in vaccines. But
We are accused of being, you know, and there, if you watch news shows, there's a whole lot of commercials for Cialis and Viagra and aspirin, and their pharma does advertise on television. So they all say, oh, you're in the pocket, and they told you not to tell this story. And I can tell you, I mean, nobody tells us to do squat, because that's the way you lose your credibility, and we have been underlined because of recent events in television news that we will not exaggerate, and we will not lie, and we will, I mean, they had meetings after that and said, so we're all clear here, right? You're telling the truth about everything. And you're like, yeah, join the parade. I mean, we've been trying to get you to do that, and not to say, crude ship of death, and, you know.
it's useful. I mean, shame, you know, our colleagues who behave badly, we can shame them. And we will. Shame, embarrassment, and I also, you know, it's not truly a rational way to communicate, but emotion works. And if more and more parents are pissed off that other parents are exposing their own children and the whole world, and infants who can't be vaccinated yet, I mean, there's, I think there has been a lot of awareness, much more this year because of Disney. I mean, you know, it's kind of sad that it takes a link to Disney to get people to pay attention to get there, I should say, not make the hotel guests the cause of all this, but you know, we're the ones who send them the stories. But you know, we use Disney as much as possible to say, hey, pay attention, this could really happen to you. And I don't want to wish ill on any child, but as powerful as anecdote is in anti-science, it's probably just as powerful in science. So God help us, we have to have a cheerful, adorable, much videotaped, cute little kid die of measles. And when we have that poor little child will become the poster child of, and Susie and Bob didn't think it could happen there to their little Melanie. And Susie and Bob were like, we were told by the anti-vaccine movement that we were protecting our child. And that story will get retold and retold, and because it's an anecdote, people will flock to it, and that'll happen.
And it proves to be that. When it comes to that, when it comes to children suffering or being hospitalized or dying, then we fail to get our message across. I mean, it's always the children who suffer. It's just hard.
Okay, so I'm going to go live. So